Hey there. You finally hit 340 item level and you want to do a Guardian raid, right? So this is how you're going to do it. You go over to your Guardian raid billboard here. You choose the one of your level. Sorry, I said 340, but 302 is actually the first one. 340 is Abyssal raids. So your Guardian raid, this is basically your Monster Hunter mode. You're going to go in and you're going to fight a mob of a specific level, and you have to take them down with either a party or yourself. So similar to the Chaos Dungeons video, you have pretty much the same menu here, a little bit different. You have your standard matchmaking, your enter, so you can matchmake with 4 people. You can find a party by going through the party finder. Or you can just flat enter and fight it yourself. It does scale, but especially with Guardian raids, it tends to be easier overall to play with other people unless you're like just really stacked, like you're 380 fighting a 302. You might just want to go in on your own. Each tier and each boss is going to give you better and better rewards, but they're also going to get much harder and have different mechanics. This is the first, after Chaos Dungeons, this one, Chaos Dungeons, is kind of a mindless grind, whereas this is an actual fight where you have to pay attention to what the boss is doing and do mechanics. So I'm going to just enter this one so that I can show for a tutorial. But before I do that, you have a couple things that you want to understand. You have your souls that you can collect. So basically, getting rewards from this, you can do it twice a day, and it will highlight it here once you've collected a soul. If you do not collect any souls in a day, it will add points. Well, even if you only collect one, it'll add 10 points, which will be half a bar. If there's 2 of them, it does a full bar. When you have a full bar, the next Guardian raid that you do, it'll consume that bar and give you double the rewards. It'll basically pop out 2 souls for you to collect at the end rather than just 1. So you want to make sure that you collect those souls if you're trying to get them, because if you don't pick them up, but you've entered the dungeon or entered the Guardian raid, it will consume one of these orbs, even if you didn't pick up consume the thing that drops off the boss at the end. So think of it like Monster Hunter, where you need to carve the boss to actually get the reward. So you can kill him and you could just teleport out, but then you're not going to get the actual rewards. So you want to make sure that you do that, because I personally have forgot to do that about 5 or 6 times, and it feels really bad to lose out on your rewards. So from there, you have your different raid tier levels, and each one of them is locked behind content. So to go to the second tier, you have to get up to 460. You have to go to this one here is the other continent, I believe. But you have to also beat all of the ones before. So if you power grind your item level and you get all the way up to 460, you can't actually do this one until you go and beat these 4. So if you want to enter, either matchmaking or enter, and whenever you do it, it's going to pop up and say time left, and it has the harvest of soul. So if you want to fight the boss and help somebody else, but you don't want to waste your soul, you can just turn that off. Which in this case I'm going to do, because if you enter and you win the fight, it will create a soul, and it will use a slot whether you harvest it or not, but only if you click this on. So I'm going to go in here. It is an instance, and there's a couple key things that you want to know about Guardian raids. I don't know if I have any on me right now. I do not, so I'm going to just go into my little storage bin here. We're going to grab... I have percent potions, I think. No, I don't. Okay. This is already going swimmingly, so we're going to grab those. We're going to grab... Do I have any flares? I think I have some flares in here. We're going to open this. So you can make flares in your stronghold. You can also make potions and stuff in your stronghold, but I happen to have a bunch of these packs. So I'm just going to, for demonstration's sake, so I'm going to put my potion on, I like to put it on 4. I don't know why that's there. And I like to have my flare on 3, and then I also have this swiftness robe, which makes me move faster. So you can use your consumable items in here. When you're in a Guardian raid, you cannot use regular style potions. You can only use the percent HP ones, the ones that are costly, the ones that are hard to get. So you got to be very wary of healing in here, and you can only have 1 slot of them. So you can have the low tier, the high tier, mid tier. So there's 30%, 45%, 60% health regen potions. So the thing about them in here all of your items, you only get so many charges. So you can see that this is on slot 4, which is at the bottom, but at the top right of it, it is showing a 5. So this particular potion has a limited to 5 uses in certain areas, this being one of them. So it's Abyssal Raids, Guardian Raids, like the high-end content stuff. I believe Legion Raids probably do it too. So the reason why flares matter so much, if somebody in the party flares, you can find out where the boss is. Otherwise, you have to travel around this map. See, I don't know where the boss is. He could be in any one of these locations. He randomly spawns, and throughout the fight, he might run away. So he'll just jump or teleport or whatever, and then he'll go to a different zone. So you lose a lot of time by having to run around and find him. But if you use a flare, which you can either make or buy or whatever, you use the flare, I'm going to throw it up, and now if I hit M to go back to my map, I know that boss is there now. And that is very key because now the whole party knows that. You can also bring up the map via tab, or you can do the full map. So from this map, I can hold control, left click, and you can either hold the left click to choose a specific type of ping, or you can just click it. And that's going to ping that location now. So it's informing my party, hey, like I'm telling them to go over there, or I'm telling them caution or whatever. This pinging system only works in these modes that have the restriction on drinking and eating, etc. You can also hold control and left click to make it happen on the ground in front of you. You don't actually have to do it on the map. So like if you are running around and you find the boss, you can just be like, hey guys, it's over here. Or you can, you know, do the I need help. Maybe you're stuck in a mechanic that they can break you free of. You can click hold. So again, it's hold control, click. If you click once, it does that ping. If you click and hold, and you can move to a certain direction, kind of like League of Legends pings, if you're used to those. So you can also say, like, watch out, like if it's, say, a mechanic that's going to one-shot them if they don't get the hell out, you know it and they don't, you can just be like, yo, get out, get out. And then they can move away. So this little thing here, the reason why it changes whenever I go in there, what it's doing is this is like a refresh camp point. You'll find this in a lot of different contents. It's this gold circle thing. What it does is if you have more than the amount of potions, so like I only have 5 here, which happens to be the number of uses. If I had 10 in my inventory, I can only use it 5 times. But if I come back here, or when you respawn, because you respawn in here, you will get, it'll refresh the uses. So if I had 10 and I used 5, I'd have 5 left, but I can't use them. But if you come back here, it'll give you, refresh the 5 uses, because I have 5 more available. So that's a key thing to note. And when you die and revive via Phoenix, like a Phoenix plume, it does not refresh your stuff. You have to actually come back here. So when you die, sometimes it's almost better to just die and respawn here. So the last portion, I don't have any equipped right now, but you can also equip bombs. Bombs are useful in a lot of different contents, but the higher content you get, you might want to start considering the bombs. Some bombs, this is not one, this is a protective potion, so this gives me a shield. There is frost bomb, well actually I can show you the list here from one of these. So you got flash grenades, flame grenades, frost grenades, electric grenades. So every boss has an element type that they deal damage and an element that they're weaker to. So if you use a bomb that they're weaker to, it's going to do more damage. There's also like the flash bomb, I believe, is a stagger damage. So in our skills video, we talked about how you can stagger opponents. You can stagger most guardians, almost all of them. You can also do the counter attack that I showed in that video. So whenever the boss turns blue, you can use your counter ability. So I have it mapped to A. So I'm going to try to find this guy and do it here. I know that he's in the top right over here. And you have to, this is also the first content where the large bosses, where those directionals matter and weak points matter. So weak point is a destroyable portion on the boss. There's a couple. This one does not have one. That's the counterable attack, but I failed. You can see how it hit me as I was doing my animation, so it put it on cooldown, unfortunately. I'm just gonna kill all these wolves. So Oh, it's not. It's still on cooldown. If I came in as Gun Lancer, this probably would have been easier because it's very low cooldown. So I just want to try to get him to do that again, so we can show a counter and why it's so useful for me to do. If you're the guy that's front line and in its face, it has to hit him in the face. See, so now he's countered, so he gets down on his knees. You get like a 5-second damage phase there. So it's very big. It also stops the attack, stops his movement, so everybody else in the party will be able to do lots of damage. So it's very imperative that you do that. As for staggers, most bosses will take more stagger damage from frontal attacks. So you see that ability, when it pops up saying frontal attack, it's because this ability says frontal attack. Whereas most of my other abilities on this class say back attack. And that's why I chose to bring this guy in here over my Gun Lancer, who's basically all front attack. So this is a back attack. You can see every time it says back attack, it gains 20% additional damage. So it's very imperative that you're positioning yourself as a DPS to go where you need to. You want to dodge enemies' abilities. So like, I'm very over leveled for this boss, so he's barely hurting me. Bosses that are of your level will sometimes one-shot you with certain moves. So he has now gone into like a little rage frenzy mode that he likes to do every now and then. That's just a mechanic of this boss. So his moveset changes now. Now he's doing that explosion thing. It's a matter of learning their movesets and then defeating them. And the more you fight them, the more you'll learn, the better you'll get. A lot of it is just understanding their stuff. But you want to do as much damage in like burst windows, or it depends on how your class plays. But you only get a maximum of, I think it's 20 minutes to beat the boss. So like, if I were to start fighting this boss properly right now, I probably... I mean, I'm over leveled, but I probably... it'd be really close whether or not I would actually get it. The last mechanic that you want to be aware of is these blue orbs up here on this menu. Those blue orbs, I'm just going to try to get away from this guy so he leaves me alone. The blue orbs, they are your lives. So if you're a Monster Hunter fan, they're your carts, number of carts. Those are used up by the party. So if you have a guy that's just really bad, he's literally rolling his face on the keyboard and failing, if he dies 3 times and then you die, you don't get to come back. If you have 4 party members, it's still 3 lives. If it's just you, it's 3 lives. So there's, it's a balance. You don't want to die, but you also want to try not to have to run back to the main point and restock your potions. Each fight, it's, learn as much as you can and play as safe as you can. A lot of MMOs, it's about doing as much damage as possible. This is more like do as much damage as possible while thinking about your safety, because if you waste all the lives and then the guy that's actually like really good at the game, he has an accident and loses the life and then can't respawn, and he was carrying you, well, they're not carrying you anymore. So once you've beaten the boss, I'm not going to have enough time here to do it. You beat him, he falls on the ground, it'll do a victory screen, it does that end cap saying who's the MVP if you're in a party, and then it'll be an orb that's actually roughly about the size of that thing there. And you just walk up to it, you hit G, and it'll harvest it, and then you get a bunch of items, and then you can leave. So your standard leaving is, it'll pop up saying, the MVP status, and then a leave button will be beside it. And you can also Song of Escape. In this case, because I'm leaving before losing all my lives and everything, it's going to say, hey, you're going to get a penalty if you leave. There's a leaver penalty to make sure people stop, don't do that. And it's a penalty that you can't join another one for a certain amount of time. And that penalty grows and grows, and I don't know how bad it gets, because this will actually be the first time I've ever left before either everybody died repeatedly till we had to wipe, or we just win. Those are the 2 options I've ever bothered to do. So that is your Guardian raids in a nutshell. You want to make sure that you're using your counterattack skill, which in the skills tutorial I did show a little bit, but maybe just do it one more time here. Every class will have one ability like this one that says underneath the attack type, it'll say counter yes. If it is a counter yes ability, if you hit the boss in the face as it's glowing blue to do its ability, sometimes it's very tight timing. If you hit them in the face with that, it will counter them. And it'll knock them down, and you get a free damage phase. If you hit them in the side, it won't work. If you hit them in the back, it won't work. So it's very risky, high risk, high reward. Unless you're like a class like a Gun Lancer, where they have 2 abilities that can counter, and they generally live at the front of the boss's face anyway, because all their attacks do more damage from the front. So that's it for Guardian Raids, and cheers!